Does anyone remember the drive back from Bareilly?
In the fog.
And you heard the fog, which literally was.
Yeah,
Zero
you could see about 2 meters maybe at the most, but it amazed me how the way they drove really safely. The way that you went through a toll booth and then they waited and then drove in convoy, and no one was trying to overtake. There were no rickshaws or bikes on the road. Actually, once you got used to it, it felt quite safe because you could see that they were all driving.
Don't forget the courageous little tractors desperately trying to...
Well, the tractors, they kept kind of wheeling.
These drivers, we were lucky to have that driver because he had many years of experience in driving, and they know the routes. So wherever there's a local river, they know where there's going to be more fog, so they slow down. So professionally, I think he did a fantastic job.
So crossing the Ganges, it became so heavy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was nice as well. And the 2 pit stops we did on the way out.
Oh yeah, because Sukhvinder was such a fabulous host.
He was.
And not only caring for us in terms of what we should and shouldn't eat, both for convenience and for hygiene, but also those stops on those motorway service areas, as it were. Fabulous food, wasn't it?
Oh,
absolutely fabulous.
So remind me, what was the bread we had for breakfast? It looked like a kind of naan bread.
Oh, the pratas.
The parathas.
The
Oh.
stuffed in pratas.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the breakfast for almost every Indian in India, especially Punjab. They love it.
And the very best one that your brother's wife made for us.
Oh, they were wonderful.
They were incredible.
It was, beautiful. So Sukhvinder, going there, obviously you've been to that area into India lots, you've got family there, but taking a group of friends, most of whom had never been before, obviously it was your special place. How did that feel, seeing it through eyes of having to have people there?
I felt like I was responsible for making sure my faithful friend was looked after properly. There wasn't any issues. You haven't got anybody just randomly coming over because you guys different colors or skins. Just from safety's point of view or anything. I just wanted to make sure everything was safe and sound. And I'm actually grateful that you guys did give me the opportunity to kind of be leading in that sense. So it was a very good feeling, and it's a different feeling. Going with a family, it's normal. You go every year or other 2 years, but with faithful friends of different faiths together traveling, it was a different experience, and I really much enjoyed that. I think I did my best to kind of make sure that you guys were all safe and sound.
You did a fantastic job.
Fabulous job.
You did, it was brilliant.
But I think also for the rest of us, it was probably very different than it would have been if we were tourists, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Because we had a constant insight from you about what was going on. We weren't kept out of the conversations that were going on in Punjabi. We knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that made it much richer for us, I think, than it would otherwise have
That's
been.
great.
Yeah. So, when you took us to the Golden Temple particularly, and it is a place that I absolutely love, and it was great, but I was fortunate to be back there and absolutely love it. But for you, what does it mean going there? What does it mean kind of emotionally, spiritually, as you walk in and to the actual temple?
I've been to India for the past couple of years, and to be honest, I didn't get the opportunity to visit the Golden Temple, but I wanted to. And this trip not only gave me that opportunity, but also it's like it was a will of God for this special trip. And as I entered, I felt emotional, and I felt like grateful, and I thanked, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Ram Das Ji. And as I'm walking around the complex, it was just, I was just reciting the name of God, Waheguru, constantly. And I just felt emotionally. I just kept it nice and quiet. I had a shawl over my head. I just didn't want to be embarrassed, and I just walked down, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, it's the blessing I cannot really explain as much, but it was very, very special, very special. So I'm grateful to the faithful friends and everyone who arranged everything for this trip. It was fantastic.
And for the rest of us, being in the Golden Temple, and particularly being there with Sukhvinder, What were the kind of emotions? What was kind of going through your mind or through your spirit as you were there? How did it affect you?
For me, it was, I think, I felt very personal because living in Sandwell in Smethwick, where we live, and because we interact with such a large Sikh community here, I'm just thinking at the back of my head, this is the most sacred and important part of maybe a Sikh's faith. So to be there was just really important, and I knew I'm touching the life of every Sikh friend and person and within our community. And as soon as I did get back, my son's gone and told his best friend, who is a Sikh, that my dad went to the Golden Temple and he saw it at night time. His friend had a dip, and he saw the Guru Granth Sahib being taken out at night time on the chariot, and the conversations have already begun. But I know now when I talk to a Sikh, or when I see a Sikh, I actually think I want to talk to them, but then I calm myself down and say, don't get too excited. They may not be interested in your trip to the Golden Temple. But yeah, I think it's really given me a closer link to a massive number of Sikhs within our community, like it will to yourselves as well, that share this.
Nick?
I think there's something of a sense of wonder when you go to a place which is clearly deeply spiritual, but's not from your own tradition. You're not quite in the same place as obviously Sukhi would be in terms of feeling I'm at home, but there is a sense of being somewhere that is vital, being somewhere that is full of life and life-giving, and wanting to spend the time to actually sense that and to actually feel that without, as I say, without necessarily knowing all the ins and outs of the temple or of the Sikh faith, but recognising that you're somewhere special.
Yeah. David, do you have anything to add about your feelings, your emotions when you were there?
I think it was that time when we were on the top floor
Of the Golden Temple.
Of the Golden
Remember,
Temple.
Sahib, yes.
And you showed us in and around, and then you took us up onto the upper level. And we sat down, and there was a gentleman reciting the scriptures,
Yeah.
and all the noise of the thousands of people around just disappeared. And I think that's perhaps a bit what you're saying, Nick. Although it's not my faith, I was aware of a deeply important sense of something special. And I wonder whether that's part of what we've been doing with our trips, when we go and visit each other's places. And we can't step into the other's shoes, but it's as if we come just so close.
Yeah.
There's a lovely word I learnt as a child. Is it asymptotic, where the curve comes as close as it can to the axis, but it never quite touches. But it's to be able to go that close and to be led in as you did us, and as others have done when we've gone to other places, that's so special.
A friend of mine made a comment the other day. She's on another trip visiting sacred places, and the comment they made was, if it's sacred for one, is it sacred for all? So if a place is sacred for someone, is it sacred for all of us, or are we just there as tourists watching? And for me, I thought it was a really good question, because for me, being in the Golden Temple or in the Gurdwaras or in the masjid in Delhi, there was a sense of the sacred. Not my sacred, but I could sense something special there. That actually this is a house of prayer, it's a house of solemnity, whatever, but there is something different to...
Going back to David's special place in Cornwall, where you said you almost felt like Jesus handed your hand into your hand. I mean, there's no religious places there, it's just a field. So if Jesus can be anywhere, and you can be blessed anywhere, my personal understanding is, no matter which place you're in, whether it's religious or non-religious, I mean, for me, Golden Temple, it's a heart to every Sikh in the world. However, if I was in Bareilly, visiting the Bareilly Mosque with my friend, and having a good atmosphere there, now that man is a spiritual person. He is followed, and he's a preacher to Islam. I felt blessed. I thought I'm surrounded by good Muslims, that because we believe in one God. He has many names. So for me, wherever I was, I was kind of connected to God through others. So I don't think as I said, I mean, some people might have disbelief, but that's my personal understanding, that wherever I went, I felt I was blessed. I was connected to God through other faiths. So it was a really great, interesting visits to all other religious places.
Excellent.
I think one of the things that happens because our friendships have developed is that when we are with someone in their sacred place, whether it's a field, whether it's the Golden Temple, whatever, we are sensing through that person. We have a close enough connection to sense through that person the deep sacredness of that place for that person and therefore for us.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the purpose of this journey, was to, when we develop friendships and begin to talk to one another, then things that we hold valuable, sacred, then becomes valuable and sacred to those that...
At the end of the day, we all believe in one God.
Yeah.
And we are on different paths to one God, one way or another. So the connection of God and how we should be treating each other with love, respect. I mean, every religion, as my understanding is, teaches to love each other, respect each other.
Yeah.
And, this is what we're doing, which is fantastic.
Yep. Now, we also had a lot of fun, it has to be said. We did have a lot of fun on this holiday.
Alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah. We're here with one of the spiritual leaders in Morawali village. He's given me and bestowed me this staff. I believe I can do some magical stuff with this staff soon.
Why is the leader sitting right at the back and why am I right at the front?
The generals always make sure the troops are at the front.
Singh is king, that's why he's at the front.
Please put it back, mate.
Angry Imam.
The camera loves me.
That's not good. One at a time.
I think you all forgot the pantomime at the Wagah, India, Pakistan. It just seems like some macho gate closing ceremony where they take the flags down, and the soldiers from both sides tend to be quite friendly. They've obviously orchestrated the march and the change of the guards together. There's communication and you can see they must be talking, but for those few moments there's a lot of adrenaline pumping. The music's pumping out from the Indian side, there's drums banging on the Pakistan side, so it's a right pantomime, but everyone really enjoyed it. I don't think that
It's more of an entertainment
definitely.
rather than a war or whatever.
I think there's a lot of national borders that could do with something like that, because
Yeah,
what I thought was great, you've got this big crowd here of Indians and a fence and a crowd of Pakistanis and lots of cheering, but it was all good natured. There was no maliciousness, there was no finger pointing, it was all really good.
for me as a Muslim on the Indian side, you must have seen the photos where the soldiers are pulling us over and taking a photo. You've got the Sikh soldier coming over with his turban on and taking a photo. It's so friendly, and it's just we pray that one day the nature between the two countries can improve as well, and people can get to know one another.
There was a lovely moment as well while we were in Borelli, and all those students gathered round, didn't they, to talk with us and find out why on earth we were there. And one of the things we were able to do at the end of that visit there was to give them all the Muslim Aid t-shirts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So with thanks to Muslim Aid, we were able to pass those on to the students at the...
The t-shirts, the pens, and some of the materials we gave them.
And it was a lovely time for about 3/4 of an hour, wasn't it, of conversing with them. While their tutors, I think it was, were stood around watching to make sure we didn't do anything we shouldn't.
That was